Hi, everybody. It's me, Teresa Perrin. I want to discuss MULN and the latest filings with you tonight. If you could, smash that like button for me. I'd greatly appreciate it. Please remember, nothing I say is financial advice. Always do your own DD, and some of what I'm going to be discussing here today is going to be my personal opinion from the filings. So let's get started. So MULN traded kind of weird today, right? It ended up being down a penny. Well, in the after hours, it dropped another 2 cents. On this report, MULN Automotive files for resale of up to 220.8 million shares of common stock by selling stockholders. Now, guys, this is not an offering. I want to make that perfectly clear. They are not filing an offering to further dilute shareholders, although in some ways, yes, this is dilutive. But this is the notes that they had to get issued from the private stockholders that they have to register now, because they got funding for Bollinger and Elms, right, from private investors, and they gave them notes. Now, those notes can be converted to stock. So the 220.8 million shares is not going to profit MULN. They've already profited off of this and were able to take out the loan or were giving funds by these institutions in exchange for notes, right, that get interest, as well as some other things we're going to discuss here. So guys, there are some concerns that come to mind, and that's that I see predatory lending, which is concerning, but it's probably their only option at this point. Now, my hopes with MULN Automotive would be that ultimately, once they start becoming profitable, that they start doing share buyback to, help account for this, because it's a lot. I mean, it really is, but it's a startup, so you kind of have to expect it. So guys, yeah, it's discouraging. I get it, but please remember that they need money in order to get these cars on, or these vehicles, I should say. It's not just cars. These vehicles on the road, and in order to make these acquisitions. How else are they going to do it? Unfortunately, this is what happens. So anyways, we saw this Form S3 get filed today, and it's that MULN Automotive, and it says 220,828,539 shares of common stock. The prospectus of MULN Automotives, formerly known as Net Elements, a Delaware corporation, relates solely to the resale by the investors listed in the section of this prospectus entitled Selling Stockholders, which I'm going to show you in a minute, of up to 220,828,539 shares of our common stock. The offered shares consist solely of convertible notes. Again, like I said, they are the convertible notes that were issued to investors November 15, 2022. For a description of the notes, see Prospectus Summary Securities Purchase Agreements. The prospectus does not mean that the selling stockholders will offer or sell any of the shares of common stock. Guys, you have to remember that there's going to be companies that, obviously want to get in at ground level, and what better way to do it? Lend money, get stock, get warrants. It's like this vicious cycle where they keep getting more and more. And if MULN's successful, then guess what? They make a boatload of money, right? So it's important to also note that no underwriter or other person has been engaged to facilitate the sale of the common stock. So again, this could be like institutional insider shares, guys. We don't know if they're going to hold them, but they have to do what they need to do because they have to be registered, right? So, again, we get a Form 8-KA, and this basically is just explaining the financial statements, what I just said above. It's a lot of repeat of that. The consent audited financials. This goes over Bollinger Motors financials, which, guys, I did skim through some of this. I have to be honest, I didn't read it word for word, but I read a lot of it. And I have the important stuff that I'm going to go over with you. On June 30th, 2021, the company issued 12,779. This is talking about Bollinger, okay? 12,779 shares of common stock in a private investor for cash in the amount of $6 million. Only common shares were issued to the private investor in this transaction. The private investor is a minority shareholder, and the proceeds received were recorded net of issuance costs incurred that were directly attributed to the transaction. On June 30th, the company issued a warrant to purchase up to 12,779 shares of common stock to a private investor. Now, a qualifying event, including the acquisition of the company by another entity, which occurred, guys, because MULN acquired Bollinger, allows them to exercise them or the company to pay out an equal amount of shares purchased multiplied by the price of $469.53. The warrant was accounted for and classified as equity and is included in additional paid-in capital on the balance sheet. Proceeds were allocated to the issued common stock and warrant based on the relative fair value as of date of issue. As of June 30th, the warrant was unexercised, okay? So then as far as debt goes, now, during 2020, the company issued $1.75 million of convertible notes to the company's CEO with an annual interest rate of 8%. During 2021, the company issued an additional $1 million convertible notes to the company's CEO and issued $2 million of convertible notes to accredited investors. The convertible notes have a 30-month maturity and an interest rate of 8%. During 2022, the company issued an additional $2.1 million of convertible notes to the CEO and issued $1 million of convertible notes to accredited investors. The convertible notes of the company's CEO have a 30-month maturity and an annual interest rate of 8%. The convertible notes to the accredited investors have a 24-month maturity at an annual interest rate of 20%. All convertible notes are convertible into shares of common stock upon a conversion event, which is defined as a change in control transaction or a significant subsequent equity financing. In the event of a conversion prior to maturity, the convertible notes automatically convert into a number of shares determined by dividing the principal amount and all accrued and unpaid interest by a conversion price equal to the qualified purchase price, which is the price per share related to the qualifying conversion event, multiplied by 0.8. The convertible notes payable balance was approximately $7.9 million at June 30th, 2022. The company recorded interest expenses in its statement of operations of approximately $69,000 and $221,000 for the 6-month period ending June 30th, 2022 and 2021, respectively. Approximately $4.9 million of the outstanding principal balance of convertible notes payable are held by the company's CEO. Well, now you guys know why Bollinger's CEO is the largest shareholder in MULN Automotive, right? Now, go to subsequent events, and it says the company has evaluated subsequent events through November 21st, 2022, the date the financial statements were available to be issued. On September 7th, 2022, the company's stockholders entered into a series of purchase agreements with MULN Automotive, resulting in MULN owning approximately 60% of the equity interest in Bollinger. This transaction represents a change in control which triggered an automatic conversion of the company's outstanding debt into shares of common stock. In October, the company entered into 5-year lease extensions effective January 1st, 2023 for the company's Oak Park headquarters. All right, guys, so that's just saying that they extended the lease. And it's important to note, though, that there's a lot of debt associated with Bollinger and a lot of money that, MULN has to pay out, which affects shareholders, right? Now, This is the notes to unaudited pro forma condensed combined financial statements. A total consideration of $148.2 million was paid to Bollinger Motors and Bollinger shareholders as follows. Bollinger Motors received consideration of up to approximately $77 million, of which $15 million was paid at closing, with the remainder to be paid in installments pursuant to the primary purchase agreement. Bollinger shareholders received an aggregate of $71.2 million, of which $10 million was paid at closing, with the remainder paid in installments, pursuant to the Bollinger purchase agreement, the master purchase agreement, and the Seaport. Oh God, that name, purchase agreement. Seaport, guys, that is not necessarily a name that I like to see. I'm not gonna lie. So here is the 8K. On November 15th, 2022, MULN Automotive entered into an amendment number 3 to the existing security purchase agreement dated as of June 7, 2022, and amended June 23, 2022, and September 19, 2022, which included the terms of Series D convertible preferred stock, par value 0.001, with the SEC. Pursuant to amendment number 3, the investors paid $159 million, and in lieu of receiving shares of Series D preferred stock and warrants, the investors received notes convertible into shares of the company's common stock. The notes accrue interest at a rate of 15% per year. The outstanding principal and accrued but unpaid interest in the notes convert into shares of common stock automatically and mandatorily on November 21st, 2022, which was today, guys, which is why we're seeing these filings, and at any time or times at the discretion of the holder. The conversion price per share of common stock is equal to the lower of 30 cents or the closing price of common stock on NASDAQ on November 14th, 2022. If mandatorily converted on November 21st, 2022, the closing price of common stock on NASDAQ on November 18th. If converted after January 3rd, the closing price of common stock on NASDAQ on January 3rd, 2023, both A and B being subject to a flooring price of 10 cents per share. Good Lord, guys. I would hope that it's going to be trading over 10 cents a share, but they have a floor in there. Now, this is basically what I just said, and this is the amendment agreement that we were just talking about. And again, it continues, but that front page highlighted the important parts. But here's what I want to show you. These are the companies that are involved now in MULN through this financing. And let me make perfectly clear that if you go and you read those 2 pages, which I don't want to bore you to death, not only do they get shares, but when they convert them, they automatically get warrants that they can convert for terms disclosed in those 2 pages. If you want to go back, you can pause the video and screenshot them. Again, a lot of people aren't going to be interested in that, so I don't want to bore them to death. But this is referred to as predatory lending. They pay off debt and they get more shares, right? So it dilutes it further. Guys, it's ugly. I have to be honest. That part of it is very ugly, and it happens to a lot of companies in the beginning, and MULN's getting hit with it. Have I lost faith? No, absolutely not, because I hate to say it, but how else are they going to get money? I mean, really, they need money. This is what they have to do to survive. Does it stink? Yeah, 100% it does. But we have to hope that, you know, obviously David wants a successful, profitable company. It's not going to do him much good not to start working on getting rid of this debt, you know, and these loans and notes and whatever else once the company is successful in trying to buy back shares eventually. Again, guys, that is going to take time, which is why people laugh at me when I say I don't care what the price is doing now. I care what it's at 5 to 10 years from now. And this is a perfect example of why. And again, I do not invest more than I can afford to lose just in case something horrible happens and the stock would go to zero if they were bankrupt or whatever else. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No, but guys, it's the stock market. There's always a risk. So just be careful. Don't invest more money than you can't afford to lose in any stock. Now, and that's another reason why people laugh at me when they say I follow 20 tickers. Yeah, because I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket, especially not in a market like this. But anyways, these are the companies that now are doing notes with us. Isuza Holdings, Acuta's Capital, Davis Rice Party Limited, Digital Power Lending, Jess Mogul, Jim Fallon, and Michael Friedlander. All right, guys, as you can see, there's some private investing names in there, it appears. And here is a breakdown of the purchase notice. As you can see, the total for the first purchase notice is $90 million. But guys, there is a second one that has an additional $150 million, which is why you see the amount in here of 220.8 million shares, right? So I just wanted to tell you what that's about and why it's happening. And I hope that you found this information helpful. Please feel free to leave your thoughts and comments below. Love to hear them. Love to read them. Even if I don't get back to you guys, my life is busy and I do the best that I can, but I do try to read them. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great night.